how is knowledge power? Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you, sir?
Great. How about you?
Alhamdulillah. Sir, you are requested to make us understand how knowledge empowers us.
Hmm. Knowledge, no doubt, empowers individual communities and countries because, as Francis Bacon has rightly put it, that knowledge is power. So the question is, as you asked, how it empowers us? How is knowledge power? Knowledge is power because it ignites our mind. It gives us enlightenment. The ignorance, which is like a dark night, and a night which is without any star and moon. Ignorance is like that. And knowledge is a sun that ends that night. And when we have this eye of knowledge, then we see clearly. We then invent, we experiment, and we invent. Today, you see, as we look at the advancement of science and technology, this is just because of knowledge. So, in this way, now human beings have invented so many powerful tools. They are flying in the air, airplanes, they are deep down, they are in the depth of the oceans, submarines, they are on surface of water, ships, and they have discovered moon and Mars and etc. etc. This is just because of knowledge. We have we know the slightest atom. We know the atom of the atom bombs, hydrogen bombs, so powerful. And we, the humans now, can rule over the animals and the birds and this world just because of knowledge. Without empowerment of knowledge, we are the dark souls. This is the knowledge that enlightens us. And this is the knowledge that empowers us in this way.
Thank you, sir. Furthermore, you are requested to make us understand what Islam says about knowledge.
Yeah, that's interesting. The first revelation. Ikra. Isme Rabbika alladhi khalaq. Read with the name of your Lord who created. Here, read. What does this word read signify? Knowledge. Islam starts with knowledge. It was the Arabian Peninsula before the advent of Islam was in deep dark. When the light of knowledge of Islam came, it enlightened itself and the world. So, what Allah here we also come to know. Allah said, "Ikra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Khalaq al-insana min alaq." What Islam says about knowledge is that read with the name of your Lord who created. Allah says read means acquire knowledge. Whatever the knowledge you want to acquire, you can. After this verse, the second verse is Ikra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Khalaq al-insana min alaq. Read with the name of your Lord who created the human beings with something that is hanging in the uterus of mother's womb. Here Allah Almighty talks of science, biology. When this revelation was, when this verse was revealed to Akal Islam, there was no concept of a baby being conceived like this as Holy Quran described. So this is the first concept by Holy Quran. First of all was given when the people of the world did not know how a baby is born and how a baby is actually develops in womb of mother and how does it start the development of the baby in the womb. So this is embryology. Today we study it. But Holy Quran out of it, first of all. So, this is Islam that says you to study, to discover whatever you want to study. You may study biology, chemistry, mathematics, whatever the sciences you want to study, you may study. But what Holy Quran says, with the name of your Lord, you ought not to forget the name of your Lord when you study. So what's happening nowadays? Our youth, they are acquiring knowledge, they are learning science. The more they learn science, the farther they are from Islam. Whereas every science with detail is in Holy Quran. And today we are far from Holy Quran. That's why we are far from this advancement and technology. Holy Quran, first of all, talked of advancement of science when world was in oblivion about science and technology. We must ponder over this ayah. And there is another ayah in Holy Quran that says those who have knowledge and those who don't have. Those who are scholars and those who are ignorant, they cannot be equal. And in Surah Baqarah, when Allah Almighty mentioned about Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, Allah Almighty then with the mention of Adam alayhi salam, He said, and we taught the Adam the names of the things. And this knowledge of the things that Adam alayhi salam acquired by Allah Almighty, even the angels did not know. And Allah Almighty said that I am going to create a Khalifa, a steward on earth. Then angels said, you are going to create someone who will spread terrorism on earth, as the human beings know. So Allah Almighty said that I know what you do not. Then Allah Almighty asked the angel to tell the names of the things. Angels could not tell. Then Allah Almighty asked Adam alayhi salam to tell the names. Then Adam alayhi salam explained the names. So in this way, Allah Almighty established the superiority of Adam alayhi salam over angels. From this ayah, we actually can derive that knowledge is something that makes you superior to those who don't have knowledge. These are the direct ayahs that signify the importance of knowledge in Islam. There are so many ahadith as well. Aka alayhi salatu wasalam was passing by. So there was a group of ashab, the companions of Holy Prophet, who were there. They were reciting Holy Quran, and there was a group who was sharing knowledge with one another. So Aka alayhi salatu wasalam joined the group who was sharing knowledge. There was Jangi Badr, the Battle of Badr. He fired kuffars as captives with the Muslims. Aka alayhi salatu wasalam said that if you if you teach a Muslim to read and write, you are free. What was the ransom? Ransom was to teach the Muslims to read and write. Now here I will ask a question. Was what was that infidels? What were those infidels going to teach the Muslims? They were not the Muslim scholars. They were to teach something that was not the knowledge of the Deen or knowledge of Sharia. But Aka Islam established the importance of that knowledge that was to read and write. Islam talks volumes of the importance of knowledge. And what Aka Islam said, acquiring knowledge is obligatory upon every Muslim, man and woman. Obligatory. Knowledge as being obligatory is more than other obligations. Other obligatory acts like namaz, roza, hajj, and zakat. For example, if you do not have the knowledge of namaz, how are you going to perform namaz, offer namaz? If you don't have knowledge of hajj, how are you going to perform hajj? So that's why Islam starts with knowledge. Ikra, bismi rabbikal ladhi khalaq. And every wali, every friend of Allah, every saint is highly knowledgeable person. There is no man on earth as saint or friend of Allah who is ignorant or who wasn't ignorant ever. No, every Muslim or every believer who becomes friend of Allah, first he is imparted knowledge, then he becomes wali. And there are so many people who, when they start acquiring knowledge, while acquiring knowledge, they get wilayat. And that's why one who is Shahenshah Wilayat, Mullah Kainat Hazrat Ali alayhi Islam, one who is Shahenshah Wilayat, Mullah Kainat alayhi Islam, he is the gate of knowledge. What Aka Islam said, Ana Madinatul Ilmu Aliyul Babuha, I am the city of knowledge and Ali is its gate. And Morakana, the gate of knowledge, he said that knowledge is better than wealth. Today we consider wealth as the source of power. What we are discussing now, what knowledge is power. Today we consider wealth, money as power. But what Morakana, Brother Ali Islam said, knowledge is power. That means actually means knowledge is better. What Hazrat Ali alayhi salam said, knowledge is better than wealth. Because when you spend wealth it decreases. When you spend knowledge, when you share knowledge, it increases.
You are requested to mentor us as today one sect who said that you must only get Islamic knowledge, and other sect who emphasizes us and make us that they say that you must get only worldly knowledge. So we are so worried about our life. How should we gain? How should we live, or how should we gain? So you are requested to mentor us which kind of knowledge should we gain in order to live peaceful and perfect life.
Here, Akali Islam says there is a hadith that have balance in worldly and religious affairs. Create balance in your life. Means you should neither be far from worldly affairs nor from your religion. And as I already mentioned, "Iqra bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq, khalaqal insana min alaq." Here, these verses talk of religious knowledge as well as worldly, like scientific knowledge as well. So, whatever the knowledge you want to acquire, do not forget the name of Allah Almighty. And there is a hadith, Akal said, acquire knowledge if you have to go to China. So now, those who only emphasize the religious knowledge, now tell me, is there any religious center of knowledge in China? No. So we can know the wisdom of this hadith. Akal Sam said, seek knowledge if you have to go to China. Akal Sam knew that China one day will be the center of worldly advancement and worldly sciences and knowledge. That's why Akali Sam said it, and we, as followers of Prophet, this is incumbent on us to follow the worldly knowledge, to acquire the worldly knowledge and religious as well. Those who only emphasize religious knowledge, they actually they become like aliens to the society. Now, those who are churned out from seminaries, like we call them mullahs, we call them Molvis, whosoever they are, those who are far from world, how are they going to guide the youth who is influenced by the West? The more they avoid worldly knowledge, the greater will be the gap between the religious people and between those who are acquiring the modern education. So if we have to have balance, we have to shorten the gap between these religious education and worldly and scientific education. We need these scholars, worldly scholars need to acquire, these religious scholars need to acquire scientific knowledge as well. Then they will be able to satisfy the youth. Today, the youth are not satisfied with these religious scholars because these religious scholars don't know about the modern education. Youth need answers from science. They value scientific experiments and scientific knowledge more than their religious knowledge. So these scholars ought to satisfy the youth with scientific knowledge and with religious traditions and verses of Holy Quran.
Sir, as it was days, so Muslims used to be gain a scientific knowledge as well as Islamic. So they were known as a great knowledgeable personality in this world. But what about now, sir? As we see condition in this modern area, where world has been changed in the shape of global village. Science has progressed and people reached on sky. In this area, in this time, where science has peoples have reached on sky. We as a being Muslims, approximately 57 countries are Muslims. So, what about our condition? Why are our youths far from the knowledge?
You know, we are so far from scientific advancement. There is no Muslim university. There is no Muslim university, top 100 university in the world.
Oh,
How backward we are in field of education. Well, still there is a silver lining. Today, as it is era of artificial intelligence and information overload, the world has progressed so much, as you mentioned. We need to grow ourselves in these fields, in artificial intelligence, in such type of automation and robotics. Like these fields, we need to progress. And this way, I must also add that in this era of information overload, information, we are talking of knowledge is power. So, information alone is not enough. It must be mingled with your understanding and with your insight. When you have understanding and insight with information, then it becomes knowledge. And knowledge alone is nothing, as Albert Einstein said. Knowledge does not come with information, it comes with experience. So we need to experiment with AI and automation for educational institutions that will be able to cater scientific education, scientific advancement like automation, like artificial intelligence to the youth, and our youth will be then able to emerge in these fields. Then this way we will be able to run, to progress with the world, to be abreast of the world, not backward from the world.
What do you suggest us as which kind of books should be read? Which way should be easy for us to read and enhance our knowledge?
Personally, actually, asked this from my teacher, my most beloved teacher, Director Sifil, Advocate Abdul Rasul Sayyid. He said first study Holy Quran.
One.
Study Holy Quran. Read Holy Quran in translation.
Yes.
Then Siratul Nabi, conduct of the Holy Prophet, the life of Holy Prophet. Study the life of Holy Prophet. And then study whatever you want to study. Allah Almighty will help you in getting whatever you want, and you will emerge as a scholar to study Holy Quran and the life of Holy Prophet, and then whatever you want to study. It will give you much insight and understanding that will be enough to cope with this ever changing and advancing world.
Knowledge is enough for life. As we see, we watch video those who are knowledgeable scholars, so they do illegal acts. So being knowledgeable, they are scholars, but they do not act upon it. So what do we want to say? So only knowledge is enough for us or not?
Knowledge alone is soulless. The soul of knowledge is action. Like Anath Delhi Islam said, without action, knowledge is like a without soul. So what do we do with the dead body? We bury it. Our knowledge is buried and we don't have action. So that's why what Quran says, what Hadith say, and the life of Holy Prophet say, we are far from them, and that's why we are so backward. We don't have action. That's why. Islam Akbar has said that वो मौजूद से ज़माने में मुसलमान होकर और तुम ख्वार हुए तारीख कुरान होकर. We read Holy Quran, but we don't act on the injunctions of Holy Quran, Allah Almighty. As Hafiz Saab said that काम हमने रखा फकत अजकार से तेरी तालीम अपनाई अगयार ने. Those who act, they are progressive. तेरी तालीम अपनाई अगयार ने अशर में मुंह दिखाएंगे कैसे तुझे हमसे बेकर्दा का उम्मती या नबी हमको दरकार है रोशनी या नबी दे तबस्सुम की खैरात माहौल को हमको दरकार है रोशनी या नबी एक शीरीं झलक एक नूरी झलक तलख तारीख है जिंदगी या नबी.